Metal Gear Solid Delta. Does that have a chance of releasing next year? Hollow Knight Silk Song. They said that was supposed to be second half 2023.
I need answers.
Stellar Blade, which I forgot the name of and typed in big titty Korean action game Sony. And it popped up. Dragon's Dogma 2.
Oh, that's definitely next year.
Oh, you think so? Year. Are we getting Suicide Squad next year, or are they going to find a way to push it back again?
Bruh.
Yo, what's poppin', everybody? It's the No Level Cap Podcast. We back once again with the crew talking about all the anime, all the gaming, all the nerd culture, none of the bullshit. Let me introduce y'all to the co-hosts. We got the Black Daredevil, a secret weapon of No Level Cap, Terrence Flowers. What's good, Terrence?
Not much on my end. Things are good. I'm going to go check out Blue Beetle tomorrow. We'll see if it's... I've heard good things about it. I mean, I've heard it's not like some revolutionary DC movie, but it's probably one of the better ones that they've put out in some time, so... We'll see. I'm looking forward to watching. At least got to support the boy Jaime.
I know, right? What I've heard more than anything is that it's kind of like basically just Iron Man, just like an Iron Man rehash or something like that. And I'm like, oh man, that's unfortunate. But Iron Man was like, and still is one of the best Marvel movies. So
yeah, I'll put it this way: if it can at least be along the lines of something like Shazam, I'm satisfied.
Agreed. Because Shazam was like a really good film too.
Yeah.
Next up, we've got the living cartoon and the man with the golden voice, Rakeem Beck. What's going on, Rakeem?
Ain't nothing much. Still gaming and gunning. Went through this week and tried to get into the new MMO Wayfinder. And unfortunately, I'm still trying to get in that mother. So it has been an interesting week. This week made me realize how much gaming is just like, there's so much going on right now. It feels like there's too much to consume at once. And even if you want to consume it, you got to make a choice. Like you have to make some hard choices right now on what games you want to select and prioritize, because everybody ain't rich and everybody ain't got the time. I know Armored Core comes out next week. That was definitely a game that was a priority for me. Baldur's Gate 3 is a game that's a priority for me. I'm still trying to finish Final Fantasy 16. Spider-Man 2's on his way. You know, these days are adding up.
I feel like it's Rakeem that always steps on like my intro when I like get into the podcast. I don't know how he knows. Like it used to be like I used to get like suddenly annoyed, but now it's just funny. It used to happen so many times where I'm like, damn, this man he like nailed it, and I don't even talk about my intros to him. So it's just like it somehow just pop off that way.
We don't speak about it at all. Zero. I'm bad, but yeah, I'm just like this is how I feel about gaming right now, man. It's like I'm overwhelmed in a good way, but I gotta make some hard choices. There's some games that I want. I'm gonna have to wait or cut out because I just can't play them all. It is what it is.
That's 1,000% facts. Like I mean, obviously I agree with you because I'm about to talk about that in a second. We've got One Punch Man, the master of combos, Devin Butts. What's good, Devin?
I'm good, man. I'm not sure what games we keep playing, but I think games are stale, man. Like right now, it's just really nothing out. I don't know, man. It's just let me quit playing. It's been kind of lit, man, for me. I just finished Chain Echoes earlier this week. Just bought Cyberpunk, Bomber Cyberpunk this week. Well, yesterday actually. Been enjoying that. Literally one of my dream games coming true, like a spiritual successor to Jet Set Radio. Been loving it so far. It's got like out of like 1,900 reviews on Steam, it's like 10 out of 10. Like I think it's like percentage wise 98%, but like the numbers like 10 out of 10. So I'm like, people must be really enjoying it. So I'm happy to see Team Reptile, like an indie developer, doing this thing, and like, people like, man, this game is pretty dope, man. So, I'm out here gaming, man. That's what I'm doing, man.
Hey,
so now,
what's up?
Let's hope we get a spiritual successor to Crazy Taxi.
There's actually like a little shout out to Crazy Taxi in this game.
You may not get a spiritual successor because you might just get Crazy Taxi. I think Sega was kind of looking around at some of their older IPs to see what they could bring back and what they can make relevant. So,
there is a game that's like a Crazy Taxi spiritual successor, like some like space game. Like it's I saw that not too long ago.
Similar to that.
Yeah,
but I mean, it's a billion video games, so you never know. They pop up with everything. Lastly, we got the Collective Collectors, the master of Twitch, Will Coleman. What's going on, Will?
I'm the same with them, gaming and trying to figure out what's really next on the agenda to play. I still don't know because I'm just like, I keep getting more shit. Because just to let you know, Sage, I now finally have the full gamut of Cold Steel together. So now when I really hop in, I can just go ahead and pop them. Yeah, I know.
A lot of video games.
But I'm up for the challenge anyways. And also, I added something else to the collection. Negima.
Negima. Why you look like that? The trepidation in his face.
I know, right?
That's a whole separate podcast about how angry I get. That's the second season, right? Oh, well, not second season. That's the remake, isn't it?
It's the double. It's Negima and Negima.
Oh, it's both.
Yeah.
Wow, I didn't know they made that. Yeah, that's a whole other podcast, like how they basically refused to do like a proper adaptation of the manga, and they just went off and did their own harem shenanigans in the second season or the remake or whatever. Negima is like a manga that is really near and dear to my heart. It's like top 3 all time for me. And the anime neither of the animes ever got it right. Well, all 3 of them. Negima, which I guess with the question mark and the exclamation point, and UQ Holder, they all just kind of like, they can never nail it. I don't know. But I mean, I'm glad you continue to expand your collection, bro.
No, certainly. I got it on sale for 20. It was 80. Got it for 20.
That's about what it's worth. You got $80. Get the fuck out of here. Of course, I am Sage Ashford, the man who won't shut up. If you didn't know, No Level Cap goes live every Monday morning. We're on YouTube for video fans, but if you prefer the audio version, we're live on Spotify as well. I think it's safe to say, as Rakeem mentioned, this has been one of the greatest years in video games of all time. 2023 has been so amazing. Like, I made the argument that we're like 8 months in, and we've already had enough games to make this one of the greatest years ever. And over the next 4 months, we're about to get even more games. We're about to get Armored Core. We're about to get Lies of P, Starfield, Mortal Kombat 1, Spider-Man 2, Super Mario Wonder, and I'm leaving out some games. This is safely going to be like one of the greatest years in video games since 2017 at the very least. But then that raises the question, what does 2024 look like? So I just wanted to get into that for a little bit, and I wanted to talk about what the next year looks like, and I wanted to get y'all's opinion on some of the games that you think, are they going to make release, and when will they make release? So let's get started. One of the things I did just before the podcast started is I started looking at games that came out in 2017, because at this point, that would be around a 6-year dev time. Like, you put out the game in 2017 and you started working on your next project. And so now it's been about 6 years going into 2024, like, okay, we on year 6 firmly, some people on year 7. And one of the games I looked at and saw was Wonder Woman. And I want to know, do we see this again this year? Like, cause like they first showed it to us, like they showed a little like, it was like the barest hint of a teaser where they just showed, I think, like the fucking lasso and then like an emblem, and the team that was working on it, of course. Middle Earth Shadow of Mordor came out like 6 years ago. It came out 2017, like September, I think. Rakeem, what do you think?
So yeah, I remember when we first saw that teaser. I remember you were happy because I know it was near to your heart. It was a very big surprise for me. I knew they had to be working on some DC project, or because it was taking so long. For me personally, if we don't see a trailer by the Game Awards this year again of some repute, I'm not even holding my breath on the game being out next year. I need to see something a little bit more in depth, something more concrete before I can get a solid ending on it. I would like to see Wonder Woman come out like towards the end of next year. If we do see it like at the Game Awards, I can see it coming out maybe fall next year, maybe around the between August and November, around that time frame. That would make more sense for me, but I gotta see something other than that teaser we got before I can make concrete evidence. If we don't see anything by the end of this year for another trailer, I wouldn't hold my breath on seeing a release next.
I agree. What I do remember is seeing like some, every now and again they'll put out like reports, and the report is basically just, hey, we know that this studio just started hiring for this position or that position, and they'll describe the game they're working on in like really vague terms and be like, oh yeah, they're working on the next game and this and that. And I remember seeing that like as early as 2018. So potentially they've been working on that game at least since like the start of 2018. And so that does make the suggestion that, all right, unless y'all started on a game and had to shut down that game and start up a whole nother game, you should have put in quite a bit of work on this game. And so, like, I do think I agree with you that if we don't see a trailer or something at the bottom of the year with the key lease, as it were, that's probably it. Like that game's probably has no hope of 2024, and it's probably a 2025 game. Speaking of games that came out not in 2017, but in 2018, Monster Hunter World 2. That game I'm very curious about because we just got the end of Rise not too long ago with Sunbreak, right? Side of frame.
Yep, that is correct.
But I do know that you hold in like Monster Hunter World. Yeah, there we go. What do you think, Will?
It is time, I will admit. And the reason why I was holding the case, because I guess my friends and I decided that we wanted to hop back into it. So we finna hop and set a whole new character on a whole new adventure. Even though we like at the end of it in our most recent current one. So, you know, but 2024 would be a really great time to see word of this game actually being a thing. But Capcom is very weird sometimes. Sometimes they hit it out the park with a string of games like they doing right now. Like they have a great line of games. They just been knocking them out the park left and right. But sometimes Capcom will hit that spot where they just like, what we gonna tell them about? And you
let me help you out. Let me help you out.
Talk to me.
Just before, I think last week or the week before, they put out. They said they had a game that they were planning to release in like the first quarter of the year that was supposed to move like millions of copies, multiple millions.
Remember that. I do remember that. So I can see Monster Hunter World 2 popping up, but that early, I'm not very sure.
Monster Hunter World 1 came out in, I think, January.
It did in January because I got it alongside something else. I think it was Dragon Ball, if I'm not mistaken. Dragon Ball Fighters.
Celeste or Fighters.
When did they announce it? Monster Hunter World, the first one.
E3. Sony E3 2017.
Okay.
Mm-hmm. So, yeah, they talking about they got something that's coming that's going to sell millions. I can see it be a 2024. Maybe not that early, but I'm not too sure on what else they would just bomb.
If not like, Monster Hunter World, I don't know what IP it would be, right?
Yeah, I mean, like I said, I don't know what it would be either, so it's throwing me. So maybe it is there. Like I said, I'm kind of lost on what they got. Maybe they really have been making World 2 in the background and just really been keeping it tight.
Yeah.
Which I'm very surprised by, truthfully. But if it's there, it's there. If it's not, then I wonder what the hell y'all talking about. Y'all gonna have to show me.
I mean, it can't be Resident Evil, right? We just put out RE4 remake, so like, all right, that it's not that. And I mean, there's another game that it could be that I'll bring up in a little bit. That everybody probably knows already just from me saying that. But other than that, like I don't know. Like
I don't either.
You running out of games that could move like millions of copies. Like because they was talking about this is gonna be a big hit. And I mean Monster Hunter World 1, I think is still their best-selling game of all time.
It is.
Which puts a lot into perspective in terms of like how well games have sold for Capcom and how big the gaming audience was back in the day. So we saw a game earlier this year that I don't think is going to come out next year, but I am curious as to if anybody else thinks it. Devin, what do you think? Metal Gear Solid Delta. Does that have a chance of releasing next year?
I don't think so. If there is a hope of it coming out next year, it's like winter, like maybe like the last quarter.
So like December or something like that.
Yeah, I think December because I mean, unless they've been working. I mean, again, it's one of those things where they showed us just a CG trailer. You know, so normally when you see like a CG trailer, they might have something in the works, but it's like not enough to show you any like actual gameplay. So I think something like that, and I would hope that at least in my opinion, I feel like with a game that people love like that, so especially MGS3, like if I was a developer, I would take my sweet time with it and make sure that it comes out and it's a good remake. Because if you mess up something like that, they're gonna be like, well, all right, man, y'all done goofed up Metal Gear Solid, man. just don't do it no more. And that's a series, like I said, that's a game that's very close to a lot of people's heart, and especially 3. 3 is one that I think 2 was a great game. 2 was like did phenomenal, but 3 was like the one that kind of like it was the last one on the PS2 generation, and it was just like such a phenomenal game. If you mess this one up, it's gonna be a wrap. So I think if it does come out in 2024, it's gonna be that last quarter. Gotta be.
Okay. Terrence, it's your turn. I forget if you played the original, but this did come out in 2017, and it has been a while since we heard from this studio or this director specifically. What's up with Nier 3? Do you think we see that next year?
Nier 3, huh? Man. What was the last thing? What was the last thing Yoko Taro was working on?
Yeah, that's why I asked. I'm like,
they did the Nier remake,
right?
Yeah, that's right.
And they also worked on the phone, and they also had the phone game before that.
That's true. Yeah.
That's already finished. So he's free to just basically work on whatever Nier or whatever project he's working on next.
Right, he's free to just pop up and give us whatever.
I'll put it this way: if it isn't announced this year, I don't think I would see something like that coming out next year. Maybe, I don't know. That's a toss up for me. That's a hard one to nail down.
I feel like I remember someone saying, I feel like I remember Yoko Taro saying he had started work on his next project a while back.
Mm-hmm.
Like, don't quote me on that, but I feel like I saw like some info about Yoko Taro. Like, all right, yeah, I already started working on this, and let's see where it goes. And I don't know. Like, I do agree with you that it needs to be shown off fairly soon.
Yeah.
The thing is, where does that show up?
Yeah.
It's not going to be.
Yeah.
Of course, Gamescom is next week.
Yeah.
So it's potentially there, but I doubt it. Like, it doesn't seem like a Gamescom will be where you'd reveal something like that.
It seems like I do that at Tokyo Game Show personally.
Yeah.
I don't know about that either, because Tokyo Game Show is always a toss up in terms of like whether or not you get many reveals. Sometimes it's just like, hey, it's a show floor experience. You come in, you play some video games, and there might be 1 or 2 announcements. But like Nier was a pretty big. Nier Automata was a really big release, I believe, like 6-7 million. And so that becomes like a major title that people would want to show off. So the only place I could see it showing up, only 2 places, the Game Awards, of course. But the other place I could see it showing up is like if Sony were to do.
I was thinking that,
another State of Play.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
And so.
True.
Yeah.
The fact that my bad. I said the fact that we even get, just for me personally, because I played the original Nier, like the fact that we're even talking about a game that was that freaking niche because of the success of Automata, and knowing that its next release is actually highly sought after, it kind of warms my heart. This is something personal for me. I like this series. It's weird. It's strange.
Very weird.
You have to have a certain type of mind to write games like this. Everyone can't do it. Yoko Taro, take your time. Get that next game out there, buddy. I appreciate you.
Yeah.
Please.
Well, maybe this is one of those cases where maybe I would defer to like either you, Rakeem, or Will. Like, since you two are more versed in like the Nier games, what do you think? Because I feel like you'd have a better opinion in this regard than I would.
That dude keeps everything so close to the chest. Like,
he do, man.
There's no telling when it will come out. Like, he's more of like the art expresses itself when it comes out kind of guy, not a timeline. And like, he was never big on like being the blockbuster. He just became a blockbuster.
Right.
So in that respect, like, he might take all day for the next release. I see it more personally, maybe being an announcement next year than this year.
Mm-hmm.
I don't see it coming out next year, but I could see an announcement next year of some sort.
Right.
And maybe that'll be some around the time of next year's Summer's Games Fest or something, or PlayStation Experience, whatever the PlayStation stuff is called. Experience, Express.
Showcase,
State of Play.
State of Play.
State of Play.
The PlayStation. Okay, so the State of Play is usually like a little smaller thing. You'll see like a handful of video games in it. They may build it around like one particular game. The PlayStation Showcase, as it were, is like a bigger thing that's supposed to be like on par with like an E3 type of thing. And then there's the PlayStation Experience. The thing you're referencing was like a live show that they did for a few years back during the PS4 era, and then they just stopped. So
I remember those shows. That's why that's still in my head. But yeah, I can see it maybe like next year. Next year when I see it being announced. What about you, Will?
I'll say, yeah, I do think an announcement next year is gonna happen, but just like you said, he keeps things kind of close to the chest, very close to the chest, mind you. But I think a lot of it is also because he's so weird. He's such an eccentric, oddball kind of guy.
That.
Also antisocial.
That too. With all of that, we're liable to not hear from him. We might get a random video from him on Twitter. That's probably the one place we will have to catch him because he will not be outside in any way, shape, or form unless he is just like, okay, I'm here to tell y'all something. And he gonna give you such a straight shot of what his game is about that when you play it, just like Keem said, the art will express itself and it's gonna branch off like in a million different directions, and you just won't really know what's coming. So it's really more or less we waiting on Yoko. If there's anything near related, we're waiting on Yoko Taro. So on his time, on his social battery, whenever he feels like stepping out. So
that's crazy.
We're waiting on him.
He is a character, bro. He is a character.
I guess the one I was another game that I thought about was Ghost of Tsushima, the PC port. Not so much 2.
PC port. Okay.
Yeah. Ghost of Tsushima, the PC, like Ghost 2 is at least another year off, like from 2024. So like it's a 2025 game at the very earliest, I would think. But like the PC port, and people, I know there are going to be some people who are like, oh, what do you mean? Who says it's coming to PC? That damn GeForce NVIDIA leak, like that damn leak that came out that has been like 95% accurate. And the fact that Sony has also been slowly bringing over some of their games to PC, that's what tells me.
At this point, you got to be blind not to see that they're doing this. Like, it's pretty clear.
Yeah, exactly. So, like, I mean, in fact, didn't they just release? Didn't they just release Ratchet and Clank Rift Apart?
Yeah, they did.
Oh, they got it on PC? Oh, okay.
Yeah, they got Ratchet.
That just came out.
Yeah.
Horizon 1, like
heavy hitters.
So it's and Spider-Man, like both Spider-Man. So like, it's coming. But like, I thought that game would be out by now, but I don't know. Like, I don't know what the timing is, as far as like announcements or like how long they want to wait from putting it out on PS4 or PS5 and bringing it to PC. It does seem kind of random because I would have thought that they would only release like PS4 games for right now, and then out of nowhere they were like, "Hey, Rift Apart, yeah, sure, why not?" And so I don't know what they're doing, but I do think 2025 or 2024 is a good time for that port. You polish it up because like you are getting a bit of a reputation for releasing kind of subpar PC ports, and you don't want that going forward because like people were hot about that Last of Us game. When it came to PS4, like the Last of Us remake, which people didn't even want to begin with, and then for you to put it out and it's on PC and it's kind of an ass port, it's like, all right, man, why would you do this? So I can't really co-sign that. So I hope that the time that they've taken right now is like, all right, we just trying to make sure that we've polished it, we've done everything we can do, and you know, like, oh, you got like because they still have to try to find a way to put in not just Iki Island, because of course like every PC port is like a complete port, but also like the multiplayer, so to figure out how to a way to make that as well. So maybe the middle of 2024, that could be like a you know, like, oh well, we also have Ghost of Tsushima Definitive Edition or Director's Cut or whatever coming out in the middle of the year, and so it becomes like in the middle between like other major games, because they do need some major games, and we're going to get into at least 2 of those later on. Devin, Final Fantasy VII Rebirth. Now I told you that this game was not going to make this year, but like, how early do you think it comes out in next year?
I think for some reason I think maybe like April or June.
Okay.
Because I mean I do remember when they showed that they did say it was like early 2024, right?
Yeah.
So
winter.
Yeah.
Winter 2023.
So I'm thinking. Yeah, I'm thinking like maybe somewhere around like April, June. Right. I mean, honestly, if I had my way, I would have it right now, but I don't have that power to do so. But yeah, I like I said, when we saw it, I was I was hoping, but I was a little surprised. I'm like, dang, they really showed off, and they was like, okay, it was gonna be early 2024. I'm like, yes. So yeah, I'm April, June. It could be maybe July, but I'm thinking April. April. That sounds like a sweet spot, man.
I think I'm a little more optimistic than you. I think that's. I don't want to say. I think it's going to get more fanfare than this game, but I think it's in that similar time slot or release slot as Crisis Core was. And so maybe like January or like early February. I think that game comes out. I think they come out the gate with that. I do think that there's probably some fiscal nonsense playing into that. Because, like, of course, the fiscal year for video games always ends March 31st. And so, like, they probably do have some fiscal responsibilities, like a certain number of millions of copies that they wanted to move for all of their games. And like Final Fantasy VII Rebirth is definitely going to move at least, 2 or 3 million, if not more, possibly, 5 or something like that. Because it's going to be like another big showcase title for the PS5, which at this point has like 40 million install base, a little bit more.
Man.
Yeah.
So pretty good. That's man, they not wasting no time. But like that I feel like that becomes like, okay, we need to get this out before. So like April, I think, pushes them into the next fiscal year. I think 2025. It pushes them into that fiscal year. And so like you would want that game to come out somewhere between January, February, March. And I think they hit that January, February spot.
That'll be cool with me. It's the sooner the better. Hey, man,
you did play the hell out that first one, so
I'm right there with you,
man. Me too.
That's true. Actually, everybody played it except I didn't beat it, but I did play pretty far. I think I got.
You played pretty far.
Yeah, and I played pretty much in there too. I just hadn't finished it.
I got to the tower. You were climbing the tower. That's where I got and stopped, I believe.
Shit, you damn near done.
Damn.
Really
when they started killing all them avalanche people, that's when I stopped.
Yeah. Oh, okay.
Oh, you're talking about that.
Oh, that tower.
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
That tower.
No, not that. Not the not Shinra Tower.
Yeah. Okay.
Will.
What up?
Hollow Knight Silksong. They said that was supposed to be second half 2023.
I need answers because I don't know.
Does that make this year, or is it really like, hey man, this we fucked up? It ain't coming out this year. It's coming out next year.
As much as I want that to be this year, and knowing that they've been sitting up here telling us, "Oh, that's 2023." I'm sorry, but at this point, that's 2024, and I'm gonna give them a good old fashioned push to make it to. That's gonna have to come out mid 2024 because I don't see them doing that. I don't see them doing that early. It's been too long. I'm sorry, that game has been out long enough for people to beat it within an hour on a speed run stream. And I'm gonna be real with you, bro. If you gonna sit up here and hold me up on this, and I've had it on my wish list for as long as it's been set up to be there, and I still ain't seen it, and y'all only gave us one tiny update.
I was finna say, like, is there a trailer, like a good trailer?
Only thing we got is what we got. I don't see
the
nothing
first
else.
one, right?
That's it.
Oh man, that's forever ago.
That's forever ago. I don't see nothing else for that.
I don't know.
Mid 2024, I'm just giving them a good chunk of grace because I could have easily said February, but I'm just like, nah, screw it, June. That's when we gonna see him.
All right, June. Rakeem.
Oh my bad. I'm gonna throw a little side out there. If you hate waiting for Hollow Knight Silksong, they got this demo for this game called Crowsworn. In the vein of Hollow Knight, you might like that. It's like got a little Devil May Cry gun action going on. Looks just like Hollow Knight. Looks really clean. Check that out. Crowsworn.
Speaking of Devil May Cry and Capcom, yeah, you know where I'm going.
Okay.
Dragon's Dogma 2.
Oh, that's definitely next year.
Oh, you think so?
I think so.
Okay.
I think so. I see it coming out maybe fall next year. I got a good feeling about this one. When I saw the trailer for the game, I was like, okay, their ambition isn't too crazy. It doesn't seem like they're going super new tech. There's some new features and stuff like that. So
I mean, they're clearly using the RE engine, but other than that, like,
yeah. I was like, okay, this seems like it could be solid. I remember what the announcement was last year when it was just a T-shirt announcement. We've come a long way since then. At least with that one trailer.
They did not go in order at all. Because like
No.
normally when you get some nonsense like a T-shirt, the next thing you get is like a little teaser, and then like, okay, now we might show you a cinematic or some shit like that. It was like, no, the next thing is a 5-minute gameplay trailer with dialogue and combat and everything. I'm like,
Yeah, I was like, man, this is some Dragon's Dogma. Like I was really interested in like were they gonna like shift the tone of Dragon's Dogma with that trailer? No, it's just Dragon's Dogma. The one you remember from 10 years ago. There's better graphics and some new stuff in between there. You gonna see. I feel confident looking at that trailer I saw. I was like, this seems a decent enough along that like towards the end of next year, maybe fall or winter, I can see this game coming out. But I mean fall, because if I say winter in Japan, it's coming out in 2025 early.
correct. I was just about to say.
Yeah,
Exactly.
so I say fall 2024. My God, I forgot what year it was. Fall 2024.
Getting up there, old man.
I got a good feeling fall 2024. If not, it's gonna be really early 2025 and be like February, January. That's what I feel.
So that was one of the titles. I think that was the title I was thinking of when I said like, if not that for Capcom, like if not Monster Hunter World 2 for Capcom, then it's got to be Dragon's Dogma 2 in the early, like that first quarter of next year, where they were like, this will move millions, and I'm like, it can only be either Dragon's Dogma, which I don't think is they should be hyping up quite like that. I think it'll do well, but you shouldn't be hyping it up on no millions and millions of copies.
Monster Hunter is that make money. That's a money making. Dragon Dogma was like, we did an experiment and it worked out. You know, that's what that was.
I do think it will do better than the first game by a good bit. I think the first game sold a little over 2 million. I think this does double that.
I can see
but
that.
I don't think it sells no fucking enough for you to bring it up and be like, oh yeah, you know, this is gonna get us over the line on our fiscal response. Like,
No
nah, I wouldn't
way.
be bringing it up like that.
No way. Unless the
You know,
game
because-
comes out and it's got all types of new features and like the story's like way better
It's
written
Baldur's
and like
Gate 4 or something like that.
I was just about to say, I was like, unless it's like a Baldur's Gate 3 level surprise, like don't hype it up like
Just
that. You're gonna be
freaking
disappointed.
amazing. I hope it's that good, but I know it's not gonna. My expectations are in check. I hope they actually add some more features from like the MMO, where they added new classes and some more combat stuff to it. That'd be kind of cool. I'd like to see that in there. But I see it, like I said, fall next year. That's why I think it'll fall into.
I think most of the fans would be happy if it was just Baldur's Gate, but I mean, not Baldur's Gate. If it was just Dragon's Dogma, but more Dragon's Dogma.
Yeah,
Like
absolutely.
more monsters, more quests, more abilities, more of the same, and like a better story maybe, and that's it. So
More climbing, more jumping,
all of that, more everything. Terrence, bro, when we getting Tekken 8?
Ooh,
I do think Tekken 8 is next year. I don't think it's this year. I think there's still, even though the game looks like it's in its like, it looks pretty polished for where it is now. I think there are a lot of tweaks they need to make to it. I think that, I mean, of course, they have more characters to announce. They have the single player elements to show off. And I feel like that stuff is going to come. Like maybe we will see some stuff next month, or maybe even this month at Gamescom, and maybe next month at like Tokyo Game Show. And then maybe we'll start to get more of a definitive trailer come the Game Awards. But I think that game, you know, honestly, I could see it coming out the same time that Tekken 7 came out, which was like that June window, I think.
Mhm.
Yeah, that's
June.
that's usually a good spot for Tekken. Is kind of like just June. So that's what I'm banking on. I think June 2024 is probably when we'll see the game come out.
That's actually a lot later than I don't know what it is, but I just got this feeling that comes out early 2024. I don't know why.
It could.
I
I
can
mean,
believe
it very
it
well could.
could,
I guess it depends on. Well, I'll say this: we haven't gotten an open beta for it yet, and depending on how many more characters they have left to announce, if it's not June, then maybe it could come out around the same time as Final Fantasy VII Rebirth. Maybe like that March-April window. It could. That might be a nice way for them to close out their fiscal year. Maybe it comes out in March.
Ooh.
So, you know, yeah.
What a hell of a March would it be?
Yeah, so either like that March to June window, I think that's a good time slot for it.
Okay, I'm with you. Speaking of games I think are going to hit in the early part of the year, Rise of the Ronin.
Ooh,
Mm.
yeah.
Like
I
that's
did.
the ninja game, like the half. Well, no, it's like a samurai game, right? It's like a samurai
Yeah.
game
Yeah.
set during like kind of like the Meiji era almost. Like you see like
Yeah.
you're starting to see
Mhm.
like Japan start to incorporate elements of like America and shit like that, like westernization and whatnot. And like it's supposed to be like basically just their version of Assassin's Creed in Japan, I think. And so even it's not even I think they even have like difficulty settings and like levels and all that shit. So they're going full on Western RPG type. So I'm pretty hyped for it. But here's the thing, that studio, the last since Neo, all of their games have hit in the same time span. It's all February and March. Neo, I think was March, I believe. Neo 2 in the same time span. Final Fantasy Origins, Stranger Paradise, same time span.
Wolong.
Wulong, February. Like, I ain't a betting man, but if I had to put my money on it, I'm gonna say like the first 3 months of the year, like which
Yeah.
actually makes me think that we're about due for a PlayStation State of Play. Like, because we haven't seen anything of that game since its announcement. And so like if you're going to put that game out in the first half of the year, then you probably want to have like a trailer to like remind people that it exists first off, because a lot of people have probably forgotten that game is even a thing. And then also you want to show off like, okay, what does the gameplay look like the moment to moment gameplay, not just like, oh, we're going to stitch a few scenes together that last about a second and a half long. Like, no, like I'm walking around doing a mission. Like, what does that look like? So that makes me think that we're probably, if that game is coming out in the first 3 months of the year, then I suspect over the next 6 to 8 weeks, we get like a Sony State of Play of some sort where they have to show you like, okay, these are some of the games you're going to see in the first half of the year. Hey, Devin.
Yeah.
Are we getting Suicide Squad next year, or are they gonna find a way to push it back again?
Bruh.
Is King Shark gonna get a chance to pull out his Gatling gun and lay everybody out, air it out on everybody?
I don't know, man. It's kind of hard to say when Fortnite 2 will drop. Probably
Fortnite 2.
I mean, that's a really good analogy. You include all these cool characters and then just give them guns.
See, this is one of the weird things where it's like when we saw those trailers, like those games, like the extensive gameplay. Well, it wasn't really extensive, but like they gave us some gameplay tidbits or whatever. Again, it was kind of like a choreographed, stitched together, shoot here, change the camera. Those type of trailers. More like a hype trailer than anything. I was like, this just don't look. I don't feel like this is ready. I don't feel like it's ready to go. And this was definitely the case. It was not ready to go. So many things you see it just looks like, the whole like battle pass of skins and all that. And people were just kind of like, all right, this I ain't rocking with this. Cause I was actually kind of like, this might be decent. But seeing all that, I'm thinking like at this point, if it comes out next year, it might be, I would say probably their best interest is maybe like later half of next year, a little later, because
it's scheduled for February.
For February? Okay.
The top of February 2nd. That's when it's scheduled.
When was it supposed to come out again?
I mean, hell, it was supposed to come out, I think, in 2021, and then they delayed it.
Well,
it was supposed to come out the same year Gotham Knights came out.
Really?
That's
yes.
right. Yeah.
And then they delayed it. And then like it was supposed to come out like May of this year, and then they delayed it again.
So May to February. I don't know. I think that's a decent amount of time to maybe cook up the issues and maybe like go back to the drawing board just a little bit. I think February could be decent. I would probably suggest maybe like, I don't know, man, June, July. Y'all need to get together, man. Because I mean, but then again, there ain't much you can do for Fortnite 2. Just what else can you put in the game?
That's what I'm saying. Like, I think all jokes aside, I think that you can't fix some of because like some of that shit is just your core gameplay. Like the core gameplay loop now is that Captain Boomerang is hopping around with a sniper rifle. Like that's the core gameplay. And his secondary weapon, for whatever reason, is throwing a boomerang instead of like his primary weapon. And I don't think you can fix that. I think at most you can make the games as a service elements a little lighter. Maybe you're not asking for as much money. Maybe you like Avengers, like the Avengers came out, and of course once they canceled it, they basically took out all the battle pass type shit. Maybe you could take all that out and just make it so that it's just like a straightforward multiplayer game, and then maybe you add little season passes over time. But other than that, I don't know that you can fix it. So I don't.
That's fair. I think fair because from the trailer, it looked like it was solid enough. Like this looked like it's getting along the end of like this development cycle. So I feel like that's a decent time span. Like it'll probably come out around the same time as Jak 4, but I mean, I'm gonna be playing it anyway. So I'm not gonna play that anyway. But
shout out to Samoa Joe. I think it's another project he's a part of. If I'm not mistaken, he's playing King Shark in this game.
That makes sense.
God. Yeah. Mm-hmm.
That makes sense.
He tied to another piece of trash.
Oh, I think that game does well. I think it scores in the 80s because it is Rocksteady. I think that name is going to help them a lot. I'm sorry. I'm sorry. Like I think that game scores in the mid 80s on Metacritic. Like
I'm gonna tell you what. I hope it does, but
I don't. I don't hope it does.
It's gonna be scored by the same people that watch Twisted Metal. This is amazing. This is awesome.
Look, man. Look, I don't say this often, but I am literally praying on this game's downfall. I don't want this game to do well. But like,
what if it results in Rocksteady something happening to them?
See, that's you took the fun out of this now. Like, I don't want anything to happen to Rocksteady. I want them to continue making. I want them to continue making video games, just not this one. And I don't ever want to see or hear about this game ever the fuck again once it comes out. I want it to die the same death that Gotham Knights did. But like, I don't want Rocksteady to lose a single person that works there. Like, I want them all to continue working there. I want them to move on to like a game that's more suited to their talents. But this game, it just looks like trash. It don't look like trash. Like the gameplay looks fine, but just like the idea behind it. Oh, we're gonna kill the Justice League. It's like, man, I don't want that. I want to be the Justice League. And like I don't know who suggested that idea, but like, come the fuck on. Like, of course, people want to be the Justice League. They want a Justice League game. And why do we have this? And why does it look like a knockoff Destiny with superhero characters? Like, what the fuck were you thinking? So like, I am praying on this game's downfall, but I'm also simultaneously not wanting anybody to lose their jobs. So I guess that's a little conflicting. But
I want to say real quick, when we first saw Gotham Knights and Suicide Squad, out of the two that I was hoping would do good and succeed was Gotham Knights, and well, that didn't happen. So what if the ties is like, hey, Suicide Squad, you got
keep in mind, I said I'm praying on this game's downfall, but I also said I think this game, like, I don't think I'm gonna get what I want. I think this game's gonna come out and people are gonna be like, oh, actually, this game's pretty good and it's just better than I thought. I think you'll get a lot of that. Mm-hmm. Like, I think I'm sorry, I just think that the idea of it coming out being ass, I don't see it. I think everybody just winds up being like, "Oh, this game is amazing," or
I hope them delays is worth it. I hope them delays is worth it. That's all I hope.
It's been 2 years, almost 3 years of delays. So I agree.
This game is bad forever, but a delayed
I don't think any of us are really big fans of this game.
What is?
But
it?
we got to talk about it because it is the juggernaut. Rakeem,
what's up, juggernaut, bitch?
GTA 6 coming out this year?
Next year?
2024.
If it is, that is the game.
Yes. Now, Take-Two, there was some, and I kind of missed it, so I'd have to go back and look. Take-Two has some kind of nonsense about like an investor meeting or whatever. They talked about how they had a game plan for next year that was gonna do, big numbers and this and that. And so like it could like,
Oh, well, that's true. I was about to say, like, I wasn't seeing it, but at this point, like, we're so far along in a cycle that it could drop any month. They could do the announcement. It's not that surprising because, like, when was GTA 5 announced? Was it 2013?
It came out in 2013, so it
came out in 2013,
2012.
Yeah, so that was over a decade ago. Like, it wouldn't surprise me No, it would surprise me.
The question really isn't when did GTA come out. The question is when did Red Dead 2 come out, and the answer to that is 2018.
2018.
So it's been about 5 years already, and next year will be 6 years. So.
Well, they have to make money, so yeah. Apparently, it's got to come out. If I would say.
But is he wrong?
Got to have
Is he
money.
wrong?
I mean, they had to stop making money with 5.
Here comes the money.
Yeah, I don't. Has the content roll started scaling down for GTA 5 recently? I heard something.
It's one of those things where you're not part of the circle, like you're not part of that, and so like eventually the news just gradually starts to die down on a general level. But if you're part of that community, you still keeping up with all the news. And so like it's definitely died down on like the last big update I remember was that one with Dr. Dre.
Yeah.
I remember that. And then after that, I don't remember hearing anything about it.
I'm going to say no, just off instinct. I feel something about this, but it probably won't be because of an announcement. I think we will get an announcement. I feel like it'll be delayed. I feel like a delay is going to happen.
Oh,
because I remember GTA 5 got delayed once or twice as well, didn't it?
I think all their games get delayed. I think they all get delayed.
I can see it getting delayed 2025 personally.
Real quick,
I see it coming.
Do you all think that the leaks may have resulted in anything getting delayed?
No, I don't think that slows Rockstar down at all. Rockstar is at such a level at this point where they don't even go to E3. So like, if anybody was thinking, I think they show up during the E3, like they don't do that. They don't show up in anybody's showcase, not with new games. Like they might show up with like a fucking GTA remastered or RDF. They might show up with that, but like their new they don't bother because they're Rockstar, and like everybody has to get the fuck out of the way of what they do. So I don't see them caring. I think the leak, the only thing that could have upset them is like, and we know this isn't the case, but like if the graphics were what they were in that leak, then that would be a problem. But other than that, no. So you think that it just gets delayed, but it gets announced?
I think we get announced, let's say summertime next year.
Ooh.
Summertime?
I maybe. I actually think
Game Awards would be something.
Game Awards would be huge.
Again, no. Like they really are. They really do think, and it would be huge just because like that'd be the first time in ages that they showed up at somebody's thing and was like, okay, here's our next game. Like they usually don't play with other people. They're like, hey man, we want the spotlight. It's just us. Like with Red Dead 2, I don't know if y'all remember it, but it was just announced randomly on like I think a day in like September or something like that, September or October, where it was just like, hey, Red Dead 2 coming out. You like, all right. And there was no event. There was no, it was just a trailer and they was like, all right, there you go. So
yeah,
I think we get something similar to that. And I also think Rakim has a point. I think if that game is next year, I think we have to see it before the end of the year.
Yep.
So you might have a point on that. Will.
Talk to me.
I'm gonna throw a curveball at you. You remember Celeste?
Yes, I do. I actually own it.
Okay. The Celeste follow-up, Earthblade. Does that come out?
Yeah.
Does that come out
that
game 2024?
I got that wish listed if I'm not mistaken. I'm looking forward to that.
All right. You think it drops next year? They said it was supposed to. They released, I think, a trailer at the end during the Game Awards last year, and at the end of the trailer, it was like 2024.
Yeah, if it's 2024, I do believe that they can do it. I don't think there's gonna be no delays unless they just like what every other dev or indie dev, unless they just hit some major roadblock somewhere along the way where they just like, we're gonna have to push it back some months and get this cleaned up or get XYZ done, kind of keep things going. But I can see 2024 for that game, no doubt. I'm looking forward to that because I like what I saw, and I'm just like, they made that for me. Like, come take my money. I got my wallet open right now. Come get it. I want that. So 2024, I see it. I'm gonna give that like not early 2024.
Okay.
I want to give that a mid 2024 as well. I want to see if they can give them some time. If they do have it, if they go any later, it's definitely in the fall.
Celeste, if I recall correctly, came out in 2018, and it came out in either January or February.
I'm trying to remember when it came out because
It was definitely early 2020, 2018.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. So I could
January
see-
25th.
Mhm.
So maybe mid. Like I think as well received as Celeste was, I
Mhm.
don't think that game comes out in the fall because that's usually where like all the big boys are. And I think
True. Yeah, you
Celeste,
make sense there.
I think Earthblade stays out of the way of that because they don't want that smoke. But
Yeah.
January 25th, 2018. Yeah.
so I think they maybe come out. I think mid 2024 is a good
Mid.
guess. Maybe around June or May or something like that. I think it's a great guess. Terrence. So Stellar Blade, which I forgot the name of, and typed in big titty Korean action game Sony, and it popped up.
And it
Wow.
up.
That's subtitle.
That was like my I was like,
mean,
this is the only thing I really remember about it. Let's see Litmus Test does this work. Damn if it wasn't the first result.
Well, okay, I guess that speaks volumes of the game itself. So you're wanting to know, will we see it next year?
But yeah, does it come out next year?
I would like to think so. The fact that Sony has been quiet about it, that's a little concerning. I'll put it this way. If we see it if Sony has another showcase, state of play, whatever, if they have another one this year, and it shows up there, well, if it shows up there, then yeah, it would be a next year game. But if we don't see it this year, you know what? I could still see it being a 2024 game regardless.
Like late 2024?
Yeah, it's just a matter of when Sony plans to talk about it again. Like they could talk about it this year, or maybe they could wait till their next state of play or PlayStation showcase next year, and then maybe it just comes out, I don't know, maybe like 4 or 5 months after. It's a possibility. I think it strongly depends on if they're trying to release it in the fall or not. I think that's what it is. Like if they say something about it this year, I could see it releasing before June of next year. If they don't talk about it this year and they wait till next year, it has to be a fall game. I do think that it's 2024, but next time Sony talks about it, I think that ultimately that is going to determine when we're going to see it. So I would like to think maybe like the first half of 2024.
I rock with that answer. I do think that there was some news very recently about how Sony had to delay some games that they had planned on releasing this year.
Yeah.
And I think that explains the silence on Stellar Blade.
Mm-hmm.
Like, I think that might have been a game that was supposed to be coming out this year, but then, like, things happen, games get delayed and, like, pushed back. What's up, Will?
Speaking of Stellar Blade.
There's a button to cut off the mic, but Keem like, hey,
I swear, bro. Keem said, we're just letting it fly.
My bad.
Why you sound like you doing karate? Like
I swear, bro.
Like you did a special move or something.
Hey, man. Sometimes you got down bag square, man. You got down bag square.
All right,
Okay.
What's up, Will?
Okay, so because I'm slightly a little in tune with some of the people who are working on that game, like Shift Up and so on.
You're right.
Right now, they are getting ready to shut down one of their like most major mobile games, Destiny Child. That game is shutting down next month. It's getting ready to shut down. It's been around for 7 years. It's been one of Korea's biggest games, and it got a nice following over here. And the artist who does the work for that game and for Shift Up, Hyung-tae Kim, I think that's probably was kind of leading more to maybe something possibly coming up for Stellar Blade. I can't say because that person is also doing that other game, Nikke, Goddess of Victory. They're doing that mobile game as well. So I think they're going to try to shift focus off this mobile game and to this and probably give some time to Stellar Blade. So maybe look forward to something coming about that because like I said, on September 21st is when Destiny Child shuts down. And then I think they'll probably push more attention towards that game. So there's a possibility of that happening.
I think if anything, it's in its polishing state right now. I don't think it's like a matter of like, oh, there's still some kinks that need to be worked out or like the game is not quite done. It's like I think they're just like tightening some things up so that the next time they show it off, people are gonna be like, "Oh, okay, like I see what this game is now." So yeah,
I mean, I think polishing states are gonna take a little longer than they used to back in the day. Let Bethesda tell it. That game, Starfield, was ready in like 2022, and they kicked the bucket on that. They were like, "Yeah, we know we were supposed to come out in June, but fuck it," and they kicked the bucket on that down like they kicked the can down the line like to like this year and like the latter half of this year, because they were like, "Hey man, we just want the polishing state to last as long as possible. Polish it off." So, because I mean, like at this point, I think more developers are afraid of being dinged for like having like a buggy game than they are of the game being bad. No developer wants a game to be bad, but sometimes bugs can drag down a game and make people call it bad, even if it's not. So I think you might be right. This is a game that me and Rakeem specifically are excited for. Dragon Age Dreadwolf. It's been a fucking decade. And I mean, I understand, but they've had a lot of other things. Of course, they put out Mass Effect Andromeda. They put out Anthem. Those were disappointments for different reasons. And then, like, I don't know, Dragon Age might have been a disappointment if it had come out any sooner. They wanted that to be like a games as a service thing, but then EA started to see success. I think Jedi Survivor changed the fortunes of so many developers over at EA. I think when they saw that single player games could not just be a success, but like not just be like well received critically, but like well received by the fans, make a lot of money. I think that changed the perception for EA of like, okay, well, we don't have to do this fucking games as a service shit. And so like that game's had like a mini reboot, as it were, to like take out all the games as a service elements and make it like a straightforward single player game. And so now there's a strong possibility that this game comes out and it's just like a really strong single player story. I know a lot of people, either they like Dragon Age Inquisition, but they didn't love it, or they just, preferred, like ultimately, I know a lot of people preferred Origins. I would be happy with just another Inquisition level game. I thought that game was really well done. Could it have been better? Absolutely. Most games can be, but like I thought that was a really good game. I think it comes out summer. I know people like, oh, fall. Everybody like loves to put games in the fall, but today is not 10 years ago. The time where everything had to come out in the fall if it had a certain budget level, that's over with. Like you can put out a game at any point in the year and it just come out and like it'll still perform well, because so many of us now are adults. So many gamers now are adults. The average gaming age is like 33 or something like that. And so like people have the money. Do they have the time to play it? Maybe not, but they'll still buy it and they're like, oh, well, I'll get to it later. So I think that like I don't want to get locked into the idea of it being a fall game. I think that game gets revealed the Game Awards like this fall or this, December. And then I think it comes out June, July, somewhere in there. Rakeem, you got anything you want to add?
No, I think you covered it pretty well. I just want the game to be good and not suck and fun and great and bring back, good BioWare days, and we get a Mass Effect right after. That's all the things I want. Just
back to back. You know what though? That's another thing. Like when Dragon Age Dreadwolf comes out, I think that gives the Mass Effect developers a little more time. Because like especially if that game's good, like everybody goes, oh well, shit. They just, even though it's two different teams working on it, I think if Dreadwolf comes out and is good, I think everybody goes, well, they just put out Dreadwolf. We can give them a year or two. And so if that game came out in 2026, Mass Effect, that's probably around the time, because like I think they first showed off a teaser of it in 2020, if I'm not mistaken. So it'd be about 6 years. They showed like some stuff hinting that it was going to be back in the Milky Way galaxy and stuff like that.
Mass Effect Real Return and all that. And they had, they did Sorry Lady, like showed up. Like, okay.
So I think you could get away with like putting that game out in 2026 if Dreadwolf is like a really good game. So hopefully BioWare is back on top soon. Hey man, what about Devin? I'm gonna ask you another superhero game. What about Wolverine, man? Does Wolverine like Spider-Man? Of course, comes out this fall. Is there a chance that Wolverine hits 2024 at all? Same studio, of course. So
I don't know because Insomniac they usually only drop like one game. Like they always their games are like pretty much AAA games. Ratchet and Clank, all this stuff is big stuff. They drop like one game per little section of a few years. I think if possible, again, I think this is the later half of next year. Because I mean, with Spider-Man right around the corner, this is gonna be like a big game. It's probably gonna people gonna be riding the Spider-Man wave for quite a while. Um Now I do think that we probably more than likely definitely see something after this game comes out. Because I mean, they showed that little tidbit of just him like bringing his claws, and that was forever. That was like a while back.
It's like
That's
2
all
years
we've
ago, I
seen.
think. Yeah.
That's all we saw was that. We haven't seen anything else on Wolverine yet. So yeah, I think if it comes, we see anything on it, it's gonna be like late next year. Because I mean, they got to show some type of gameplay. Like they literally just showed a CG with him at a bar. Dude walk up on him, he pulled his claws out. They're like Wolverine.
That's it.
That's
That's
it.
it.
So I mean, we got to get, like I said, there's a progression of like trailers and stuff shown for games where like a little CG at the beginning, and then as you get further, it show like a little gameplay teaser or something like that. So,
Like
yeah,
I said,
yeah.
Dragon's Dogma just skip that shit. So I mean, they could just skip it.
Yeah.
But I do agree that I think it's probably 2025 at the earliest.
Yeah.
And because there's another thing we of course skipped over. What about spin like DLC or like a expansion to Spider-Man 2?
Yeah. That's true.
Because the original Spider-Man had what, 3 expansions, three DLCs.
Well, it had it had 3 DLCs for like its little expansion pass, and then of course it did Miles Morales. So
yeah, that's why I said that, like the Spider-Man wave is gonna be people gonna be on there for quite a while. So, just with the base game, and then like you just mentioned the DLC. So the original Spider-Man game was massive. Like the game itself was just a pretty good experience. Then all that DLC was just like, so yeah, I don't think we're gonna probably see something on Wolverine, but the game coming out, that's probably gonna be a minute.
Will you up, man?
Talk to
Pick
me.
this game for the Fantasy Critic, and of course it didn't make it. Black Myth Wukong. I think it's supposed to be at Gamescom next week. Does that game come out next year?
I was just about to mention that when you mentioned it. I was like, I did see a word that it was going to pop up at Gamescom. And I'm not even going to lie to you. I think that's a stone cold lie. I don't see it. I don't see it pulling up.
Wait, you don't see it at
Rakeem
Gamescom?
looks like he got a little something.
I want to see what Keem got to say first before I continue. But
somebody posted a gameplay video. I don't know if it was IGN or some company of Black Myth Wukong, like right before the podcast started. Let me see if I can find it.
Okay.
IGN did.
IGN. Yeah, I was watching it. It was like 6 minutes of gameplay. They said they played it. They actually got to play it this time. So you might be a little more of a loan than you think.
Oh, all right then. Well, all I gotta say is to Black Myth Wukong is prove me wrong.
It's probably AI generated.
That's all I got to say. Show up at Gamescom and give me a date for next year.
It might be AI generated.
Yeah.
AI generated.
You know
IGN. IGN.
Hey.
That's crazy.
The gameplay is AI generated? Because that'd be impressive.
I literally watched it right before the podcast started, and it was like 6 minutes. The dude said we actually got to play a whole level. It was 3 boss fights, so a whole first section in the game, and we gave like feedback, and it said it might be some stuff they might take our feedback and apply it to the game and stuff. So it still seems like it's not close to release because they're still taking feedback for like comments. But it doesn't feel like how it did like to me a year ago, where it was like a pipe dream and like, did that game really come out? Is that game still coming out? And what's cool about Wukong is like you kept seeing trailers for it, so you knew it existed, but the trailers looked so good, you almost thought all of them were fake. Because every trailer looked amazing, like every single one, like there was no issues, combat looked fire, bosses looked fire, environments looked great, and then like it would just disappear for like 6 months, then another trailer would come out. Same thing, disappear 3-4 months, another trailer would come out. I don't know.
Let me challenge you, Rakeem.
Okay.
Trails into Dawn, do we get that next year? Because like we haven't even seen like an English
Yes.
trailer for it.
Yes, I believe we get that next year.
They're not even giving us a trailer. Like we're this far in.
I got faith.
I know there's some other Trails game. Was it Trails into Nayuta or something like that?
Yeah, they come out this year.
that's a spinoff. Yeah,
Is that out yet?
No, I don't think it is, but I think it's coming out next
September,
month.
I believe. September, I believe. Yes.
Yeah,
So-
that's next month.
Yeah.
There are a couple
I think
options
we see Trails
here.
done. I think we see Trails and done next year. I know, like, I mean, they're already past the second game. Usually, they don't work on the translation until after they finish the game. Then they give it to like who's their publisher in America?
NIS.
NISA. Yeah,
NIS
NIS.
America.
Yeah.
So-
Well, just NIS now. They don't go by NIS
Yeah.
America.
Oh.
no more.
My bad. NIS.
Yeah, you know,
Uh,
they decided to drop the America part.
I feel like they should be well on their way to like work on this translation now because first game, not even the second game. If it was the second game, no.
Yeah,
but the
absolutely.
first game, I feel like they should be well on their way onto that. And I think they've kind of hinted at they want to get this out to us as soon as possible now. Because
Well,
like, they're
actually,
running
that
out-
raises a
they're-
question.
Yeah.
Do they aim to try to get both out next year on like some Trails of Azure, Trails of Zero type thing?
Did they do that for? They did that for Trails, Cold Steel 3 and 4, I believe, didn't they? Or was it 2 and 3?
Oh, yeah, I don't think it was 2 and 3. I think it was 3 and 4, maybe. I know they put out multiple Trails games over the last 18 months.
Yeah, they've
of
been-
course, Azure came out this year, and then Reverie came out this year. So
And I guess there was some point in a year or two ago where they woke up and was like, oh, these Americans want these games. And they put out as many Trails games. I everything in my body is that game coming out. We getting Dawn next year. I guarantee it. Now, when it falls into, I could see like April or May, maybe. I think I could see April or May next year, if not a little bit sooner. What's
up,
going on,
Will?
Will?
Releases on 3 and 4 were October 2019 for us,
right.
Okay.
and then October 2020 for 4 for the US. So they came out a year apart.
A year apart. Okay.
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 I
Yeah.
did remember it was something like that. But yeah, I do think that we get that game very soon. It's just I'm surprised that they haven't said anything about it because it just seems like that'd be a game that you'd want to like hype up a little bit.
I think
Right.
that studio is like really specific about when it does this like release cycle stuff. Like they wait till like they announce the games that are coming out this year. They wait till all of them are out, and then they do announcements for the next set of games.
That's what I was
That's how they
thinking.
do it.
I was like, maybe Nayuta, they're just like, hey man, until Nayuta's out, we're not saying shit. Which raises a couple of possibilities. One, maybe we see it at Gamescom next week. Maybe.
Possible.
But again, since Nayuta's not out, I doubt it. Or it could be because Sony has been known to do this. So it could pop up at a state of play and be like one of those random JRPGs that, you know, it's just like, hey man, put this in there, and you know, you got another JRPG coming out. So I mean, I'd lose my shit even though I've already started playing Dawn. I just want other people to play it because it's just such a fantastic game. Let's see. Terrence, this one seems unlikely, so I just want to get your opinion on it. Control 2.
Ooh, Control 2. I don't think so, just because Alan Wake 2 comes out in October. Now, we do know that Control 2 is definitely going to be a thing, but in terms of when we see it, let's see. Remedy's last game was Control before Alan Wake 2, and Control came out in 2019?
Believe so.
Yeah.
So it's been a little
The-
bit. I don't think we see Control 2 for quite some time. Like maybe that might be toward the end of the console generation at this point. I don't know. I don't know. I mean,
So you think?
Hmm?
Do you think that they're being worked on by the same team?
I mean, I guess in theory, yeah, they could be worked on maybe by someone else. I don't know. I don't think it's next year. I'll put it that way. Just I guess to ultimately answer the question, is it next year? No. Is it maybe 2025 or 2026? Yeah, that's a possibility. But next year, no, I just don't see it. Because, I mean, you have Alan Wake 2 coming out. Then you might also have DLC that they'll stack on top of that, depending on how it does and whatnot. So I just see I see Remedy focusing on Alan Wake 2 for now, and then maybe Control. I can see Control 2 getting like a trailer maybe at the end of next year, and then maybe
you really thinking it's a ways off. Okay, that's fair.
I don't really see it being I don't see it being soon. I just don't. I could be wrong, but I just don't see it being a soonish game.
You're probably not wrong, to be honest with you. I'm gonna toss this one out there for Will.
What's up?
This is actually, I just came up with this one out of nowhere. It was announced because Rakeem brought this up, and I'd seen it, but like Rakeem brought it up and reminded me of it. Daemon X Machina 2. That was announced this year. What do you think? You think that's like a 2024 game, or is that like a further down the line type game?
Further down the line.
Really?
I know it's like I'm being just unnecessarily pessimistic towards some games, but some things I feel will not fit into 2024. I feel like they won't.
Well, here's the question. When did Daemon X Machina 1 come out?
Very good question. I don't remember.
I was just going to ask this because, wait, let me make sure I'm not confusing franchise here. We are talking about the same franchise as what was it? Human Deus Ex Machina. What was it? Mankind divided.
Oh, you're talking about
you're talking about Deus Ex. That franchise is dead right now.
Yeah, it's dead.
And which one are you all talking about?
2020.
Daemon X Machina is like
Daemon X Machina. It was on the Switch and PC.
It's like a mecha game.
It was like a mech action game.
Okay. Oh, okay.
Came out in 2019.
It came out in
2019,
2020,
but it got into production in 2017.
Yeah, in 2020 for Steam.
Okay.
Right, in 2020 for Steam. So, and they just announced that this year, right?
They did just announce it this year, but it's been 4 years since the last game came out.
Very true. So I still think it's gonna be it's gonna be a late comer. I think it's gonna be a late runner. I still think it's gonna be a late runner. I do.
Okay. I know Marvelous Studios, they had like their little showcase, which I thought was actually quite good. They showed off a bunch of games. There was what was it, Project Rune or something like that?
Yeah, it's Rune Factory related. I know what you're talking about.
Yeah, that one, and then like the one that was using like Hiro Mashima's characters, because I mean like they all look the same.
Oh yeah, they all.
That one looked pretty cool. So I don't know. Like I think one of those games is subject to be a 2024 game. Like I don't know which one. I think it's Daemon X Machina, so I actually disagree a little bit, unless they just surprise you with the Rune Factory spinoff, which I would like too, because like I'm with both of those, because like Daemon X Machina is probably the closest an anime game has felt to like a mecha game has felt to an anime, I think.
Right.
Devin, Kunitsugami, The Path of the Goddess. That was like the it's the Capcom game, the not Onimusha game.
Not Onimusha.
Yeah.
Not Onimusha, not Okama. Not Okami, rather.
It's both.
Onikami.
That sounds cool.
I could actually see that coming out. Us seeing that next year. Because from the trailer, it looked like it was, pretty polished. We haven't seen like what's the word I'm looking for? Like any gameplay, like demo of it, but we did see that gameplay trailer.
I've got to release something next year, and I mean, like, of course, I'm pretty sure that Monster Hunter World 2 is the big game they have coming out next year. But you got to have more than just one game a year.
Yeah.
So they got to have something. It ain't gonna be Resident Evil because you just came out with 4. Dragon's Dogma 2 might hit next year. So I mean, like, actually, next year could be huge for Capcom if they play their cards right.
Yeah, it would be.
And Capcom usually, like, they'll have like, I mean, this is a new IP, but they usually have like side games or some new IP that kind of comes along and fills the gaps in from like the bigger, like more established stuff. And I mean, I don't know. This could be a title that they're planning on being like an established series that has sequels and sequels. Who knows? Or it could just be maybe something more along the lines of like Okami or Beautiful Joe back in the day. I think I think you can maybe see March to June for this game. I would say
June would be interesting because it'd be in the Street Fighter slot.
Yeah.
In the same way that Resident Evil 4, I think, came out early in the year, and then like in the middle of the year, they were like, "Hey, well, what about this?"
Yeah.
And then I think Exoprimal came out like a month later.
Yeah,
Everybody
so,
just kind of, we're not gonna talk
kinda
about
like
it.
a little wave.
Dinosaurs.
It is a dinosaur game.
Yeah,
it was
I
alright.
heard that game had been doing.
Yeah, it was
alright,
alright.
but
I think that
it's
game
alright.
would have been a bigger story, positive or negative, in a year that wasn't this year.
Yeah.
Mhm.
Because there's just so much coming out, and so much of it is positive, and so it's like if the game is even just people just be like, all right, man, we moving on.
I'll also say that at least if Exoprimal just being okay is fine to me, because at least it shows that Capcom is still willing to experiment and they're not
Yes.
just
Oh,
relying
yes.
on like Resident Evil and all their
Street
established
Fighter and all
franchises.
that.
They still feel okay with doing something different, even if everybody else is kind of like, this seems weird. So I'm okay.
Absolutely.
Yeah. Yeah.
Because,
That's what
like-
they were known for in the PS2 era.
Yeah.
That's what they were known for. I mean, that's what a lot of developers were known for back in the day. They just throw
Yeah.
stuff at the wall, see what would happen.
Yeah.
And I feel like a lot of that has kind of gone away over the last few generations, just because it's so expensive to make games. So I appreciate when everybody tries to take a chance, like take a risk, man. If it don't
Yeah.
pan out, like at least you got out there and you was like, okay, well, let's see if this works. So
I
hats
still
off to
feel like
them.
they just redid Dino Crisis 3 with Exoprimal. They was like, let's try this again. That game was horrible. Let's try it
I mean,
again. Space and dinosaurs.
Hey,
Oh,
man, I-
Lord.
that is a
Sci-fi.
little extra. I do like my
Yeah.
sci-fi with like just random areas, but that is a little extra. One of the ones, because I'm realizing now that I've been kind of throwing them at y'all. I hadn't thrown a couple at me. Star Wars Outlaws.
Bro.
That one, it looks amazing. I'm not gonna lie. On some level, I'm more excited for that than I am Starfield, just because like
It looks so
I want
polished.
aliens in my sci-fi.
That's true too.
Very
You know,
true.
like if I'm out in space and you telling me it ain't no aliens, I get less interested. And especially if it's just the only aliens is like animals or like, you know, like xenomorphs or some shit. Like, look, it's got to be something out there in all that goddamn space that can talk to us. So I'm a little more excited for Outlaws. I don't know when that comes out. Like I've seen some people say like a lot of people want to schedule it rather for fall, but that don't feel right. Like it feels like that's a middle of the year type game. It's like a surprise. Or even because like it looks damn near done. What's up, Terrence?
I was gonna say along the lines of the last Star Wars game that just came out, where it was like that March to May
Yes.
window. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Plus, there's this. I mean, I think this is already falling apart. But at one point, they wanted to have a Star Wars game every 6 months.
Oh yeah.
And so like that was an absurd
Yeah.
desire.
I remember that, and I was like,
I mean, it was
that's a
like
lot.
bear in mind it was gonna be from like different developers, but even still, I'm like, you can't time game development like that. It just don't
you
work out.
can't.
So,
Mm-mm.
I
Talking
thought
about,
that
like,
was,
They try and get back to the movie tie-in era. That's what that is.
and that's what's so sad.
We don't, yeah.
Because like they not even doing movie tie-ins. They was just hoping that just like all these developers would somehow manage to line their schedules up so that they come out with a game every 6 months. And I'm like, you ain't gonna fucking do that. But you might be able to get into that same Jedi. I always forget this. Jedi Survivor. And earlier I said Jedi Survivor and I meant Jedi Fallen Order. I always get the names confused. I wish they just stuck to like a 2 or whatever. But
One or two. It is
Yeah.
what it is.
Yeah.
but you know what I'm talking about. I do feel like it does land in that same spot that Terrence brought up. And then similarly, I think Crimson Desert probably comes out early next year. I was so excited for that game, and we're finally getting a trailer for it on Tuesday. It's been 3 years. The game looked like they had done a lot of work with it when we first saw it, because it was like a very gameplay heavy trailer. It was showing like different fights and I think we saw like 20 minutes of gameplay, or not we saw, but there was 20 minutes of gameplay available for that game. And then of course you had the trailer. And so like, I think now you get like a little bit of polish, or like a lot of polish, because it's been 3 years. I think they had the time to polish it, because like the frame rate on that, like when me and Keem went back and re-looked at that trailer, the frame rate on that game was atrocious. And I was like, oh no. I'm really excited. I'm excited at the potential for that game. But if it can't get its technical aspects right, that's a problem. So hopefully they spent the last 3 years kind of hammering that out, getting it to like a consistent 30 or 60 frames a second, and maybe giving us like even though it's a Korean studio, giving us a Western style RPG, because I feel like there aren't enough of those, especially like over the shoulder. Because I know like Baldur's Gate is kind of like the classic CRPG top down isometric type thing with the option to go into over the shoulder, but mostly it's just like, hey man, we go, you know what we get into. It's like the old days. I want something that's more along the lines of like a follow up to The Witcher 3. Hopefully that's what Crimson Desert is.
Someone actually modded Baldur's Gate to do that recently.
Actually, I seen that. I was about to
over the shoulder.
They made like over the shoulder, WASD, like walking, like Dragon Age. Somebody modded it to do that recently.
Yeah.
I'm gonna look into that because I mean I'm pretty excited. I'm gonna pick up Dragon Age. I'm gonna pick up Baldur's Gate very soon. So I got 2 for you, Rakeem, because I am trying to like get through these pretty quickly. One, and they're not connected at all. One, do we see anything on Iron Man next year? And 2, Avowed. Does Avowed come out next year?
Of a wed.
Avowed, I can definitely. Okay, so the easier one for me is Avowed. I feel like that we will see something from that coming out next year. We had this conversation about Microsoft, and we on previous podcasts about how they need to ramp up games. All those studios they bought and all those investments they made. It's time to it's come home to roost now. It's time to get these games out. And we've already seen the trailer for Avowed. It looked alright to me. I didn't see anything that made me like. I'll be honest, it didn't blow me away. But I can see that coming out next year. Now
fall,
what's fall was what I was thinking. I don't know exactly, but fall seems about right for that. Kind of going for almost like a Skyrim kind of vibe to it.
It kind of looked like Odyssey. In the first few seconds, I was like, Assassin's Creed Odyssey? But then I guess it's like it wants to be like a Skyrim, like a first person only Skyrim. And that's honestly, that's when I was like, I turned out.
You're not first person guy, so this isn't for you anyway. So, Nick, fall, not an Iron Man game because they announced
not come
this
out.
Announcement, just a
trailer. Yeah,
man. I mean, just a trailer. Sure, we put a trailer out there. We put Iron Man out there. We can Rob Downey Jr. to show up and say, hey man, I might be dead, but Iron Man is still very much alive.
Yeah.
It is like, now, you can definitely do a trailer. Now, we can trailer it up all day. If we ain't show no gameplay, boy, if it ain't show no gameplay, let's do a trailer, boy. I'll put it out there, boy.
Gameplay in this trailer.
Oh, that's a whole different conversation now. Hold on now.
They're gonna show some footage of Mega Man.
Hey, man, the Mega Man Iron Man crossover will be lit. I think Avowed comes out next year, but Iron Man, honestly, I just don't see anything yet. Seems
Dead
just
Space
a little
did
bit
just
too
come
early.
out.
Yeah,
Dead Space did just come out. So
if it does, it's gonna be like late next year.
Okay,
late next
like
year.
The Game Awards next year.
Yeah, like Game Awards next. That's what I feel.
Go ahead, crush my hopes.
Sorry.
I mean, I really want that. I want them to take as much time as they possibly can.
True.
Terrence, I'm about to throw a huge one at you.
Uh-oh.
I just gave you a hard one.
Uh-oh.
When does Nintendo give us the Switch, like the first look at the Switch 2?
The first look at the Switch 2?
I think in January of 2017 they did their big showcase for the Switch 1. When do we get that?
It wouldn't be. I'm trying to think of this like from a business perspective. I don't think you would do it this year because then that would cause people to not buy Switches in the Christmas season.
Yep.
So I think maybe this was around the time when the Switch was revealed. What was it like? Was it like March? Was it March?
So the Switch was revealed around the same time as that Red Dead thing came out, so like September. Okay. And then they did like a full deep dive into what games were going to come out on it. maybe pricing, but I know they did a deep dive, and this is what I'm really getting at, like the deep dive and like, okay, this is the Switch 2 and this and that. That was in January, and then the console came out in mid-March or late March.
Oh, so they revealed it in January, then it just came out a few months after? Is that what you're saying?
Reveal, I want to say is in September. Don't make me lie to you. Hold on. Because it was like a weird commercial. Nintendo revealed the technical details of the Switch, including its worldwide launch date and price at a press event in Tokyo on January 13th, 2017.
And then it came out like a couple months after that, right?
Literally just a couple months later.
You know what? I could see them doing that again. I could see them maybe, after this holiday season is over. Because, I think that after this holiday season, that's kind of a wrap for the Switch. I don't think you really have any bigger games coming out like that unless they're also cross-gen with the next Switch. So, you know what? I could see January being, I think that's the perfect time for it. It's like after your Christmas season is over and everybody's like bought all the Switches that they've can at this point, go ahead and drop the news on the next console, put it out there in maybe like March or April or the first half of 2024. So, you know what? Yeah, I could see the first details of the console coming out, like, I guess technically that winter 2023 window. So, yeah, January to March, I could see that happening.
I hate to be that guy.
Uh-oh.
But I did have to do a bit of quick study.
Uh-oh.
So, the thing that I said about Red Dead was announced October 18th, 2016.
Mm-hmm.
The first Nintendo Switch commercial was October 20, 2016. And then that's like I think they just showed like a little bit of gameplay and stuff like that. They even showed the design of the system. Yeah, they did show the design of the system, but they didn't give you anything on the specs or the price. And like they didn't really give you like the deep dive. I will say, I think that what we wind up with for the Nintendo, for like the Switch, personally, I think it's an E3 thing. I think last time around they were desperate. The Wii U was like a level of failure that a home console hasn't seen since like Dreamcast, I would say.
Yeah.
Or like the Ouya, if you want to, bring in.
Yeah.
If you want to bring in those weird ass consoles, then maybe the Ouya. But I think shit.
Games.
Yeah, Soldier Game console, that type shit. But like, as far as like top tier consoles, I think that there was never a failure before that. It was like 12 million copies sold, and it was like 3 or 4 years old. Like that shit was unheard of, and they were just desperate to get the fuck out of there and put out the new console as soon as possible. They are not in that position anymore. They are no longer desperate. And so they don't have to, they can move as traditional as they normally do. There was rumors of like this coming out in like the second half of 2024. And so if that's the case, it's probably October, November release. And then like just a traditional, I hate to say it, I want it to be what you said. I want it to be they show up in January and then it comes out in March. But I think what's going to happen is they just go the boring traditional route, and it's just like, all right, here's the release, or here's the release date, here's the price, here's the launch day library, and like, E3, and then, coming out in November or whatever.
You know what? I can see that happening. It's Nintendo. Nintendo's going to do whatever. So, but maybe they will go more so the traditional route this time. So, yeah, you know what you said, it makes sense. It might just be a little too soon for it. Because, you know what? Now that I think about it, that would be kind of a dickish move to have people buy Switches during the Christmas season, then immediately after the next month announce the next console. So,
they did this shit.
Yeah, that's probably not the smart business move. So, yeah, I could see them maybe going the more traditional route, maybe waiting till like that E3 window to reveal it and then drop it in November of next year. So, yeah, I think what you're saying is probably more correct.
All right, guys. Let's do a little bit of a lightning round for these last couple games.
Yes, sir.
Devin, I know you kind of don't care about this game, but I'm still going to throw it at you. Budokai Tenkaichi 4. Does that game come out next year? Excuse me, my bad.
I like some Budokai, man. You said, does it come out next year?
Does it come out next year, and when does it come out next year? If so,
I think if it comes out, it'll probably be like winter. Because I remember the older games, if I recall correctly, they were usually like, because for Budokai 2, I got it for Christmas, and Budokai 3, I got for Christmas. They usually were kind of in the later half of the year, if I remember. And I don't know. I mean, it's been a while since a Budokai game has come out, but I'll say like winter, like fall, winter, somewhere around there, if it does come out next year.
So October, November. Okay.
Yeah.
I'll ride with that. Will,
What's
Death
up?
Stranding 2.
That's a hard one right there. That really is.
So here's the thing.
And that's coming from me because I didn't play the first one. So
that's why I'm throwing some weird ones at y'all now. Here's the thing about that last one.
All right.
Kojima built a studio from the ground up and put out a game in like 3.5 years.
He did do that. You're right.
So now he's working on 2 games, one for Microsoft and Death Stranding 2 for Sony. Sony. I don't know why I put a D in that bitch.
Okay.
One for Microsoft, one for Sony. Do you think that they can manage to pull out another game? Like, it's been 4-ish years, and it'd be 5 years by the time Death Stranding 2 would come out. Do you think it comes out next year?
All right. I'm going to go ahead and say that I do think it could come out next year. But I'm thinking this might be one of those like late summer joints.
Okay.
Late summer game.
All right, I fuck with that. Let's have this game. We keep having to bring it up. It keep being pushed back. Rakeem,
So
is Grand Blue Fantasy Relink coming out next year?
man, Grand Blue fans really don't get the fuck out of here with that bullshit. Bro, watching this game feel like my whole motherfucking life. I turned the game for this one. I'm tired of this. It didn't come out tomorrow. That's when he come out. Next year, that's too late. It come out tomorrow. Stop playing with me. Stop playing with me, Grand Blue. We don't really know what the game is. Is it RPG? Is it Monster Hunter? Is it Adventure? Is it Mission Bay? What is the game? I don't know. I think we'll see it early 2020. We better see it early 2024.
Bro, yes.
Better see it.
I mean, they
early
did say
2024.
winter 2023, so it better be at this point.
It better be January. I used to have that same skull cap. January 2024. I ain't taking no more. You want money from me? You gotta give me a solid release date. I'm tired of this. Stop playing with me, y'all. January 2024. That's my guess.
Point where I just have no interest in this game until I see a release date, and not a release month, not a release window date. I need March 21st. Okay, now I'm interested. Until then, fuck that game because you take it too long. Because it really has been like 7+ years at this point. Like, figure it out. Okay, so for me, I think Like a Dragon 8, they said early 2024. I'm gonna say February. That's such a weird date. I'm tempted to say January because that's when Yakuza 0 came out, and I do know that it is early 2024. So, but I think February is probably the safest date. Will, do you have an opinion?
I'm kind of in the same area. I think it should come out around that same time, if not mid-February at the latest.
All right.
Makes sense.
Terrence, Metaphor ReFantasio, the Persona, not Persona, fantasy Persona.
Did they give in-kind release window for that? I can't remember.
I don't remember, actually.
I don't remember.
I thought it was 2024. I think it is 2024. Hold on. I think that is a 2024, supposedly. Oh, hell, it don't say so. Maybe not. Maybe there's not a release date. No. It is. It is. I went to Xbox and they were like coming 2024. So.
Okay. When was Persona 5 released? Like what month?
That was 20.
Well, not necessarily the year, but the month that it was released in.
It got pushed back. I remember this because it's supposed to came out on Valentine's Day. Then I think they pushed it back to like
April.
Okay. Thank you.
April 2017.
That was a good year.
Part of me wants to say that I don't. Oh, sorry. Go ahead.
Persona 3 Reloaded has to come out that year too. So.
Dang! I forgot about that. That's a good point. You know what? Damn. I'm gonna be honest, and some people might disagree with this. I feel like just on the surface, Persona 3 right now might be considered the more important game. And I could see that being a fall game, whereas Metaphor, Damn, if they both come out in the same year, that's crazy. That's gonna be a wild year for
That would be
JRPGs.
insane for Atlas to do
But
that.
again,
Part of me wants to say April, but man, that puts it along the same lines as Final Fantasy VII Rebirth. That man,
Ooh.
And that is not a place that
I don't-
game wants to
well,
be.
I don't know.
that
I'm
being
not
the
sure.
case, you could easily say Persona 3 because like that does have the hype around it
Yeah,
to go
Yeah.
up against a game like Final Fantasy, and then like Metaphor could be later in the year.
yeah. I guess you could reverse that. Yeah. I don't know. That's a tough one. When you mentioned
That's a
Persona
tough-
3, that kind of threw my mind off because like, damn, that does have to come out too. So we'll go with fall. I really
Yeah.
don't know. That I'm spitballing at this point, so I really don't know.
Okay. Let's see. I've only got 2 games left. Assassin's
Right.
Creed Codename Red, which I'm gonna say does make 2024. They are kind of
I
hyping
think
up.
so too.
They are building up
Yeah.
on that, and like I
Yeah.
think the studio that works on that is the studio that worked on Assassin's Creed Odyssey. They even
Yeah,
canceled
hey.
Immortals Phoenix Rising. I wish they hadn't. The
Man.
sequel to
mad
that, they
about that.
canceled that. You know,
Hmm,
I
but
just think that
kinda
they-
work on those.
that needs to be a big game that comes out in the fall. Like they need it because like Mirage is like obviously the small game they like made to like, okay, let's just get something out there. And then like this year or this upcoming year, maybe that comes out October. Same way Assassin's Creed Odyssey came out.
Mhm.
And the last game, well, actually 2 more. Blue Protocol, Will. When do we get that in America?
Do they have that right now in Japan right now? Aren't they
Yes,
running like a beta or
yes.
something?
It's
Yeah.
released.
Or-
It's
No, it's
released
out.
in
Released,
Japan.
Yeah.
Okay,
It's
it's released
released.
in Japan. This is gonna be one of them cases, ain't it? When did it come out exactly?
Ooh, that is a good question.
2 months
Yeah.
ago.
Give me an exact day, and I can probably tell you something because this is looking like one of those cases here that I'm thinking about.
June? Yeah, June.
It came out June.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Okay, so if that came out in June and we hadn't seen nothing this far, and we're literally reaching like the last quarter of the
We
year,
got some English trailers.
I mean that's cool, but I mean they got to really be like, hey, look, the game's gonna be out at this point in time for y'all. And had they said that,
They said it was guaranteed 2024.
guaranteed 2024, I'm gonna give them March, maybe April.
I think that's a good guess, actually.
At the minimum, March or April.
Because it's always like, of course, you want to have like some fanfare to it, but I don't think that it's going to be like a big deal.
Yeah.
It's not going to be the same as if it was like a worldwide release. The game was already out in Japan, and so like now they just want to see if they can make it work in America. It
Yeah.
does have its own kind of style. It doesn't quite just look like a Genshin knockoff, probably because it came out before. It was in development before Genshin came out. So
Well before. So yeah.
yeah, exactly. So
Yeah.
it should be all right. And then the last game, Rakeem Aiden Chronicles.
That'll be for
I
you
mean,
as
come
well,
on,
my
bro. If
guy.
you don't, all right, man. They already delayed it, man. It definitely should come out 2024.
That's 2024. Man.
I'm looking at maybe February. I'm hoping.
Ooh.
Um,
So you think that
yeah.
the delay was just a few months and knocked it out of 2023?
Yeah, I think so. I know this is a Kickstarter game too, right? So
Yes.
it should have
Yes,
some
it is.
updates on
Mhm.
there. I think I took a look at some stuff and it seemed like it was just like it shouldn't be too long of a delay. So hopefully I'm gonna say it's gonna be about February. That'll be
Okay,
the release window.
I was gonna say something like summer. I thought that they
Summer
got
makes sense too.
punt kick down into like the middle of like June, May, June, July, that kind of area. I don't care how long that game takes. I love Suikoden. That's one of my favorite RPGs. That was one of my favorite RPG series growing up. And so, like, however long it takes for it to be good, that's how long it takes. I don't care.
Yeah.
I think as we talked about, there's no shortage of great games that are supposed to be coming out next year, and some of them may yet to be announced, yet to come. So I'm not in a hurry to get it. I just want it to be good.
They even got the
I
Suikoden
hear you.
remake coming out this year.
That probably gets announced at Gamescom. Which,
So
by the way,
yeah,
for everybody listening at home, we didn't cover Gamescom because we're just gonna do a review of it next fall. I mean, next week. So
Yeah,
just
next
something to
fall.
look forward.
Yeah, next
Yeah,
fall,
next
we're gonna talk about- next fall, y'all see us there. All
We'll
right.
be reviewing next fall. We'll be reviewing Gamescom 2024. Y'all, just let y'all know. You got a year in advance warning. By the
Lord
time
have mercy.
those games probably all be out. But yeah, that's gonna wrap it up for this week's episode. If you like that, I need a few things from you. I need you to do us a favor, hit that subscription button on YouTube. I need you to follow us on Twitter, follow us on TikTok. Don't just check us out. Tell your friends, tell your family, tell everybody. You can tell everybody. And do me a personal favor and have an excellent week. Peace.